Hey, it's Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co, and this is Two Back or Not to Back. It's been 3 weeks since our last one. It's been so long. It's been so long. I think things have stopped happening on crowdfunding. I don't know what's going on. We had 1 week without a lot of campaigns. Then we had Gen Con, and picking Monday as the day of the week that I do these videos may not have been the best choice with conventions always being over the weekends, but either way, we are back. We have more crowdfunding. We have links and everything down below, and as usual, we're starting off with Cult of the Now. Cult of the Now this week is Under Falling Skies, which I'm sure I've picked in the past for Cult of the Now because, it's a good game. Cult of the Now is a segment where before we dive into a bunch of crowdfunding campaigns that are very tempting in very many ways, we talk about things you can buy right now that have reviews available, that you can get your hands on. There are so many fun pre-orders to pick right now, but Cult of the Now, I try to avoid pre-orders because, it defeats the point of the Cult of the Now if it's a pre-order. But either way, for $20.97 over on Game Nerds, and they just had their whole, Game Nerds Deals Days thingamajiggy, so if you missed all that, Under Falling Skies for $21 is an excellent game that still holds up, 3 years later now? Is that where we're at? Still holds up, still a great game from CGE. It's available now, it's reasonably priced, you don't have to wait for who knows how long, you don't have to wonder about paying extra shipping, you can just get it now. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into the actual crowdfunding campaign, starting off with our board game adjacent. Oh, and then disclaimer before we dive into all of this, that I do work for Gamefound, take that into account as we go through this. I've been doing this series for 3 years, and I took a job with Gamefound last August. Take that into account as we go through all of these games. But starting off, we have Wildlands Reforged, the hand-painted TTRPG terrain. This is coming to you from Dwarven Forge. They have a bunch of these campaigns, and Wildlands Reforged seems to be diving back into their Wildlands series with some new stuff. Well, I actually don't know if it's new stuff or not. This is the board game adjacent category. We have a whole bunch of terrain pieces that you can buy for a whole lot of money. You can buy them painted or unpainted as you want, or as you can afford, depending on your preference over there. These are some incredibly detailed pieces of terrain. Coming painted will basically double your price point, but you will get, painted terrain as opposed to what is something sitting there gray for who knows how long. I actually don't know if it's gray. I don't know if it's gray underneath it. But either way, these are the Dwarven Forge terrain. The average pledge, just to give you context of here, right now we have $295,000 raised out of 274 backers, which means the average pledge is $1,000 per backer. So this is the kind of thing that is incredibly cool, incredibly premium. It's going to enhance your D&D experience or whatever it is you're using it for, but it will also run you a pretty penny. Take that into account before you decide to back this. But either way, that is Dwarven Forge terrain over on Gamefound for the next 12 days. Now we have in the not funding category, we have War of the Three Sanchos from Surprise Terror Games with 373 backers. This one likely will fund. It's 3 days left. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. £11,000 raised out of £15,000 needed. It is going to be close with 3 days left to go. We'll see how it goes. This is coming to you from Surprise Terror Games. They have a bunch of these small box campaign games, and this is bringing you the newest one, War of the Three Sanchos. They're most ambitious yet as you take control in this 1 to 3 player game, as you take control of one of the three Sanchos in this campaign game, as you try to conquer the various terrains on the map. You have these three Sanchos over here. You have the other terrain areas you can go ahead and get your hands on there. There is going to be a crowdfunding exclusive under the Why Back Now somewhere. Why Back Now? Here we go. We're going to have the El Cid piece, which is going to be a limited edition piece that's not available outside in the retail edition and all that. But past that, Pledge is going to run you £20 for this, and you also can go ahead and get your hands on some of their older games in the optional buys. They have discounts on some of their older games. This one, I believe, is their most ambitious project, whatever that means exactly. That's going to be War of the Three Sanchos, and we'll see. We'll see if this one funds or not. I'm not entirely sure. From there, diving into the other games, the regular campaigns, we don't have a lot of updates because it's been so long since I did this that there are no updates. It's only new campaigns. But we have Pocket Samurai, a fast-paced drafting game that's easy to learn, has depth of play that allows players to truly excel. You're going to be drafting cards over here. You're going to have 27 unique cards, possibly more being added through stretch goals. You're going to take turns drafting cards to play these cards. You try to then go ahead and bluff your opponent in a rock, paper, scissors style of gameplay. Not really rock, paper, scissors per se, but that whole, I have this, you have that. What's going to be the best thing to play right now as you try to achieve victory in this game? It's going to run you around $20 for the game, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it's $10? No, $10. Oh, Aethermon was 20. I think different game. Later today we're talking about. We have the Samurai tier for $10 for the game, the Dual tier for $17, plus of course shipping for the game as well. Putting this in the realm of one of those, button shy games as far as price point. A small accessible game that's going to have a degree of, double think and trying to outplay your opponent. Comes with sleeves, it looks like. All games worth having should have sleeves, so we have sleeves of the, already unlocked over here, as well as things possibly further unlocked as we go through it. Add another cool 3-color card to the deck as a Kickstarter exclusive. So you will have Kickstarter exclusive content in this game. In this, 2-player outthink your opponent style game. game. As far as should you back, should you not, will it hold its value? A little still skeptical on this one. The price point is very reasonable. At the end of the day, though, once you factor in shipping on these things, you factor in shipping and the price point, it's always hard for a small box game to be worth backing as far as getting your money back if it's not for you, but it may well be your best opportunity to get your hands on it if it's something that you are interested in. Then we have Thunderstone Quest, the newest games, the newest quests, 14 and 15 coming to you from AEG. Thunderstone Quest has been around for quite some time. Thunderstone had Thunderstone, then we get Thunderstone like Advanced, then we had Thunderstone Quest, then we had 15 different quests for Thunderstone Quest, well 14 and 15 being unleashed today being like a few days ago. We have 1,800 backers, $100,000 raised, and Mike Elliott's new Thunderstone Quest, well not new, but you know, more stuff. We have more Thunderstone Quests. We also do have a new starter kit. If you are diving into Thunderstone Quest for the first time and you want to know where to start, well the new starter set is going to be something that you can try out there. In fact, some of the original quests have been enhanced to add, what was the mode called? There's like an epic mode, maybe it's called epic mode, I don't know. Some of the original quests that were not epic mode compatible, and they are now epic mode compatible if you want to pick all those up. We have a new starter set for $50 giving you, well, the game plus the starter quest. And then from there you can pick up the various quests. You can pick up the 2 new quests for $60 for both of them, running you $30 per quest. Or you can buy any of the other previously available quests for $40 per quest. Basically, Thunderstone Quest is kind of like a... It's a deck building sort of dungeon crawl, but only like slightly adjacently. So a deck building dungeon crawl experience that's going to have you wading into the dungeon as you build out your deck, trying to take down the various enemies in this game, and the quests are going to give you like slight twists or adjustments to the gameplay or the things you're encountering along the way. So an absolute ton of replayability on this with 15 possible quests, and of course the newly tweaked original stuff as well. Quests will run you around $40 for each quest right now, and you can get the solo and co-op mode for $35 as well. As far as should you back it, should you not, all of that. As the game has gone on over time, it's become less and less focused on various Kickstarter exclusives. They've given you less and less extras as time has gone on in these campaigns. The original will give you like a bunch of extra stuff, but now they're focused on here's the new content. If you'd like it, it's yours. If not, not. Then you have to factor in shipping as well on top of that. Now there's a few pros and cons as far as getting this stuff. If you're getting it at $30 a pop plus shipping, you're only paying slightly more than what it might cost as retail. And the problem is many of these quests don't have a large retail availability. That's the biggest issue you have with these. If you go on any online game store and try to search for the various quests, you can hunt some of them down, but some of them are available, some of them not. You can get the solo and co-op mode. So the biggest issue here is not so much pricing, so much as it is lack of availability. So I don't think you're necessarily getting the best deal, supposedly, if it shows up at retail and all that. But if you are, you know, just trying to get your hands on all the stuff, it's one of those things you might pay a drop more for it, but you just guarantee availability now as opposed to not having that down the road. So it's not about pricing so much as it is about just getting your hands on the new stuff if you're interested in all of that. Then we have over here, moving on, we have Loot and... Nope, just got to scroll up over here. We have Loot&Roll, a print-and-play roll-and-write game that will run you €3 or £3 or three euros for the game. In this game, you're going to be assigning different values to the various things you're collecting and then rolling dice to wander around the board across, I think, 3 different maps. You can have 3 different maps you're going through as you try to collect various goods, rolling your dice, and so you have to try to take into account the current value and the potential future value of all these different things as you try to figure out how to navigate and utilize your dice to wander around and collect things. So basically, that's what it is. It's wander around, collect things, and do so more efficiently than the other players based on the value of all the stuff. It's going to run you €3 to get the game. That'll get you 2 different types of printable copies. The low-fi print copies that you can just print whatever for like black and white or not using a ton of ink, or the full color, which would be great if you laminated them and then use the markers or things over the laminate to wander around and just reuse your full color sheets as much as you want. That's a great way to do a deal of print and plays. This game looks beautiful. Gameplay, don't know how simple or complicated it is. We have all these various add-ons as well, the Endless Swamps, the Arctic Cold, the Deadly Desert, giving you new game sheets to wander through as you go through this, as well as access to some of the previous games if you want any of the previous games as well. As far as should you back or should you not, the same thing as I usually say with print and plays. If you do print and play, the print and plays you buy, then the price point on these things are incredible, giving you a great game at a very accessible price point with very little wastage along the way. On the other hand, if you are someone that does not print and play the print and play games you buy, then €3 is wasted is still €3 wasted. On the plus side, it will go to a good cause, namely the creator of the project. That's the good cause in this case. Moving on from there, we have Call of Duty the board game. 1,200 backers, $175,000 raised, 8 days to go, and not the smashing success I guess hoping, but more thought. I don't know if I was hoping. The more the smashing success I thought it would be. But this one's going to be running you anywhere from, you know, $50 for like the retail pledges over here. We got $50 for the retail options. We have $99 for the collector's edition. We have $135 for the 2-player bundle. We have the 4-player bundle, $189. The deluxe bundle, $249. And getting your own card is $600, although that does include a deluxe bundle. So really it's like $350 extra. Now there are a few things to focus on. This is Call of Duty the board game. There's a bunch of content. I have a preview on the channel. I hope to have a gameplay up on the channel before the end of the campaign. I don't know if I will or won't. It's a question of timing because I have a very busy few weeks ahead of me, but we'll see. But either way, Call of Duty the board game is a not real-time game, but so much a simultaneous planning game. It's a simultaneous planning game where you're going to be planning how your characters move across the board. Let's see if we can show you a map over here, but I'm so distracted by all the things I want to talk about. You have this board over here. You're going to be simultaneously planning how your characters move. You're going to be doing that based on the screen behind you, and then you resolve 3 actions, then reveal, well, don't reveal, you just execute the actions one at a time. If line of sight is triggered, then you resolve a combat. That's the basic mode of the game. Then once you go to the advanced mode, there's all these other kind of things you can add in. There's multiple sprint tokens. Like the basic mode has 1 sprint token, but you might have multiple sprint tokens in the advanced mode. You have different weapons. You're gonna flip your weapon sheets and have different abilities on your weapons. You're gonna have kill streaks. You're gonna have character abilities. You're gonna have all these other things you're adding to the game. More advanced combat cards, so all these different modules and things you could do to enhance the gameplay and add to the complexity, or you can do the very basic mode where you just have 3 actions, and that's about line of sight and trying to choose your action card and resolve them, rolling dice as necessary, and using your card from your hand. It's a very simple resolution step as far as resolving combat in this game. It's a little overwhelming at first, but it's an easy game to dive into, and it really has that real-time vibe, because it's not real-time, but it has a real-time vibe because of the simultaneous action, and then resolving how you tactically plan. Well, I think you're going to round the corner, and I think I'm going to go ahead and move forward and then turn around to like face you because I think you're gonna be dashing in that entrance. Meanwhile, I outthought you and I come in from an entirely different entrance, and suddenly I have you on. I'm aiming down the sight, got you dead to lock, and we're rolling dice and I take you out in, well, just fun. You do that, you play to a variable number of points and then resolve that. You have capture the flag, you have a bunch of other modes you can play as. That's gonna be Call of Duty the board game. Now, there's a few things going on over here. We have the first of all, we have these things over here where if you back the campaign before we go to the pledge manager before August 22nd, you'll get a free bonus box with a few things: a mystery operator, plastic cover markers, a desert ruins map. So you are getting extra stuff if you back the campaign now, as opposed to if you wait till the pledge manager, you will have to pay extra for those freebies. And if nothing else, the desert ruins map, which I think this is the map that's being given out to content creators who are covering the game. So you're gonna get that map in the box for free if you back this before it goes to the pledge manager. So take that into account as you go through it. We have community chosen maps. We have a Tabletopia demo. A lot of things over here. We have solo and co-op challenges. So there's a lot of stuff going on over here, which means now we're going to dive into the actual pledge levels. We have pre-painted miniatures, and they do look a little flat. If you throw a wash on these, they'll pop to no end. So I assume most pre-painted miniatures, when you throw a wash onto them, they suddenly enhance just how amazing they look. These look a little flat, which is normal for factory miniatures, and then you throw that wash on and they pop to no end. But past that, if we scroll down over here, we have gameplay, we have content, we have more gameplay, more content, more previews, more everything about the game. And then we have over here the 2 boxes. There's going to be 2 boxes at retail, the blue box and the red box at retail, giving you different content or, characters for the game, but the same basic stuff, gives you that ability to dive into with multiple players and all that. And then we have over here, we have the red and blue core box content featuring 4 operators with pre-painted fingers, 72 custom dice, all the stuff in your collector's edition that you'll probably be backing if you're getting this on crowdfunding. Then from there, we have the $249 all-in deluxe bundle over here, giving you a ton of everything. And they have the individual things priced out, so you can check out what those various things are. We have the add-ons. We have the Battleground over here, which is going to give you another map. Specifically, this is giving you Nuketown. I don't know about you, but I love Nuketown. When I played Call of Duty, I didn't say this, but I should say this. I was a hardcore Call of Duty player for years. Played Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, World at War, Black Ops 2. I think that's where I tapped out. I think that's where I ended. But I played a ton of Call of Duty. Nuketown was an absolute blast. I wonder how they're going to capture the actual feel of Nuketown past just, having the map. Like, will it feel like the frenetic craziness of Nuketown? Or is it just, hey, here's a map and here's the rule set and whatever it is. So I am very curious about that. So you have new figures over here, new plotting cards, and all the figures come with their own ability as well as their weapons. So it continues to enhance the variable ways you can combine things in different ways, picking your weapon loadout, picking your character, picking your combat cards, your kill streak cards, all these different things, just giving you a ton of enhanced replayability the more you add. We have our Operator Pack 1 over here with Kruger and Iskra, with again, more miniatures, more cards, more kill streaks, more of those things. Operator Pack 2, Operator Pack 3. We have the Checkmate Conquest game modes. It's going to give you the featuring multiplayer area control game modes like Hardpoint and Control, perfect for larger player groups. I've only played this as a 2-player head-to-head game. I have not played this with any configurations past that. I'm very intrigued how those would do. I think they could be a lot of fun, but I wonder how slow the resolution can become. That's my one concern with larger player counts. Will it slow down resolution? I just don't know until I play it, because in theory you can resolve things mostly simultaneously unless it's the same person. I don't know. I haven't played at larger player counts yet, but I am very intrigued to see how those will play out. We have the K9 promo for $5 in case you did not follow the campaign. We have the Mercenaries, which includes the solo and co-op challenges, as well as the higher ranking officers advanced expansion, which you have a unique specialized approach to combat and battlefield tactics over here. Oh, these are the recruits. That's what it is. So the recruits, I was trying to figure out why they're not pre-painted. The recruits are going to be these extra characters you can kind of throw into the game as kind of characters that go along with you as a solo player. So you're playing your team, and you have these recruit tokens that are what we have in the prototype, and you have these over here as far as extra characters you can throw into your gameplay, and that's all of that going on over here. So, should you back it, should you not, all of that stuff, and it's a hard I don't know in this one. See, what's interesting here is Call of Duty is an incredibly popular game. Call of Duty over here has not translated, though, into the degree of demand around this title that I would have expected it to be. Now, I've played the game, and I can tell you a few things. I can tell you it is a good, fun experience. I can also tell you that it feels different than any first-person shooter we've seen to date. I can tell you that it's an enjoyable game, and that I think people will like it a lot. I can tell you that the basic mode is very accessible to the point that that basic mode can go into Target, Walmart, wherever, and be picked up and have players jumping into it without too much complexity. Once you start throwing in the advanced mode in the various modules, it starts to escalate a bit, so I don't know how widely accessible it is to your average Target person, but it is very accessible to someone who's played a lot of board games. So I think there's a good game here that is very unique, that will have a degree of demand around it. The question is, where's that demand coming from on the aftermarket? If you buy it now, if you're not sure if it's a game for you and you're like, hey, great, I'm here for the $250, what happens down the road if you don't like that game? Who's paying $250 for it down the road? Is there enough demand because, hey, it's Call of Duty and people want this game? Are there board gamers buying this game? Are there video gamers buying this game? And the answer to all those things is yes, but I don't know to what extent and how much, because at the end of the day, this is a campaign that I thought would break $2 million easily, and it's not even hitting 200,000 yet. It'll probably finish somewhere around 400,000, maybe, depending on how things go. So the lower demand than what I expected is clearly a problem. I just don't know how that translates to your copy down the road. So on the one hand, at $250, I think it's a reasonable back. More than reasonable, I think it's a back that you'll be able to get your money back if it's not a game for you. On the other hand, I incorrectly predicted what the demand for this was in the first place, and so I don't know how that expands to the secondhand market down the road. So call it a probably safe back, but definitely with a degree of risk in case there's just not that aftermarket demand. Then from there we have Burn the Fort. Burn the Fort over on Gamefound. This is going to be 21,000 backers, 410 backers. This is a semi-cooperative game of taking control of various indigenous tribes and whatnot as you try to stop the train tracks and the settlers from overtaking your regions. And yes, you did hear me correctly. It is semi-cooperative, which is such a shame. This game looked very cool, and semi-cooperative may be totally fine for you. It's one of those things, like I always have to be mindful of how much I impose my own viewpoint onto things by condemning them as good or bad. To me, the words semi-cooperative are inherently a red flag, but that doesn't mean it has to be a red flag for you. Semi-cooperative games just historically have not worked for me because they have that aspect where you could have a player who kind of tanks the experience because, hey, we're sort of cooperating, but once I'm not winning, in theory, I should just stop you from winning, but in practice, so I don't know how this one will play out, but you are competing as different tribes in this. You ultimately have to stop the invaders from coming, but you also have your own separate goals. You're also trying to win the game, as it were, on your own, by, stopping the wagons, stopping the train tracks, all of those. So I am intrigued how the gameplay would play. I have not played this game. I'm only loosely talking about it from what I can see of the game, but the semi-cooperative definitely has me a little scared off. We have $40 for Get Burn the Fort. We have $65 for the special edition, which is already, looks like it's gone over there. We have the group educator and community space pledge for $144. So intrigued by this. The theme is very interesting. The artwork, the style looks very, very cool. The semi-cooperative definitely has me a little nervous on this one. Then we have Vampire the Masquerade Milan Uprising, 463,000 euro raised, 1,700 backers, 11 days left to go. This is coming to you, the newest game in the Taboo system. Taboo also announced a partnership with Hasbro, which I'm very intrigued what that will look like or play out as far as time goes on. Like, what is Hasbro going to combine with Taboo in order to put things out? Are we going to have Hero Quest Taboo? It could be intriguing, although that's Renegade Games now, I guess, so who knows. Either way, this is the Taboo system. They announced a partnership with Hasbro. Vampire the Masquerade is their second game. They had Bad Karmas and the Curse of the Zodiac as their first game. I've played both Bad Karmas as well as Vampire the Masquerade. Keep in mind, Vampire the Masquerade was a paid playthrough content that they did with me. But past that, the game basically is taking the Vampire the Masquerade, the World of Darkness system, overlaying on the Taboo system as you wander around the map, trying to be mindful of your coterie I think it was called, trying to build your coterie as you gather influence in this world, making decisions on the app, going on various quests, extending your various quest lines, a lot of things going on in the game. I've seen a bunch of people comment on both my video and Board Game Coffee's video. I've seen a bunch of people commenting that this one feels like it's a bit less present in the board and why not just be a video game. And honestly, I hear that to a degree. I only had a chance to see the kind of preview, so to speak, not really a not really a full gameplay so much as a tutorial, so much as a demo of the game is what I got to see. So I cannot comment fully on the game experience. I will say that Bad Karmas I was very much a fan of. I thought it was a great implementation of the taboo system. Versus a Vampire the Masquerade, the board's not necessarily a bad thing, but I understand those concerns about how much of it is the app running it versus how much is the board game running it. But either way, if you're interested in the Vampire the Masquerade system, if you like quest-based journeys, this is one that you could definitely have a fun time playing through, at least based on what I saw so far. Although if you are in the camp of like thinking, well, why do I need this at all, and this is like an app and a board game and all that, this may not be your best starting point to jump off on. Bad Karmas might be a better starting point for you, unless you're just generically against those things without any degree of, you know, conversation, in which case neither one is going to be for you. That's going to be that's going to be Vampire the Masquerade Milan Uprising over here. We have a bunch of pledge levels. We have €350 for the Collector's Pledge plus Taboo Bundle. Now do keep in mind that if you buy the Taboo Bundle, that theoretically is good for future games down the road as they continue to build the system, as we see what Hasbro partners with them. Although I don't even know, I don't know enough of the Hasbro situation to know, it's possible that Hasbro might have like a different core Taboo. I don't know what will happen, but the Taboo system in general should be theoretically usable for multiple games, including Bad Karmas, including Vampire the Masquerade. They also announced Sword and Sorcery, although we'll see, I don't know the timeline of that or if it'll happen and all that, but that's €350 for a whole lot, including the game console. We have €90 for the Deluxe Pledge over there. We have €190 for the Deluxe Pledge plus Taboo, so if you don't need all the extras. And we have the Collector's Pledge without the Taboo system if you already have the Taboo system. So for example, if you back the Bad Karmas and the Curse of the Zodiac, you can jump in on this Vampire the Masquerade Milan Uprising for €90 without having to get all the extras, without having to get the Taboo system. Your price point is just significantly cheaper because you already bought the console, so to speak, as it were. That's one of the tricky things about this. You have to look at this system both based on how much do you care about Vampire the Masquerade, as well as how much do you care about the potential future properties that this game system might bring to your table. So definitely not cheap. It ranges from €90 all the way up to €350. That's besides for whatever else extra things you can get over here. But that's going to be both a game as well as a console for future games. I am surprised you can't get Bad Karmas any extras over here. Like I think that'd be a great opportunity to promote it and push that. But either way, that's going to be Vampire the Masquerade Milan Uprising. Then from there we have Hideous Abomination 2nd Edition. 1,650 backers, $46,000 raised. This is the 2nd edition of Hideous Abomination. They had a 1st edition that I can't find like any sales of. Literally on eBay, on Board Game Geek Marketplace, I can't find a single sold item for Hideous Abomination, which I guess means nobody ever sold the 1st edition. I'm sure somebody sold it, but like no trackable information. Either way, Hideous Abomination is going to run you 16 pounds, around $20 or so for this game, in which you're building out a variety of body parts. You're going to be building out body parts, stealing them from your opponents, although when you have body parts stolen from you, you do get to like clip and nail down other body parts, which is thematically delightful to have that happen as you go through the game. You're like, oh my gosh, you stole my head. Well, I guess I'll staple my arm to the table. I love the principle of that. But past that, you're going to be building out your body, trying to eventually finish your bodies, accomplish your goals, score for what you did well or not well in this Hideous Abomination game. That's basically what's happening here. It's Hideous Abomination. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? I can't tell you that. I genuinely can't. I have not seen any evidence of any sold information on the 1st edition of the game, so I have no idea why that is or anything about this. I will say the game will run you around $20 plus shipping. Take that into account. Maybe that's something you want, maybe something you don't want. I'm skeptical you'd get your money back if this was not a game for you. This style of game generally does not have a huge aftermarket value, which also might contribute to the fact that you just haven't seen this, sold. And again, I can't find a single copy on BGG in their sold listings or anything on eBay, although eBay is more recency, whereas BGG is everything. That's going to be Hideous Abomination. No strong recommendation here. You could back it, not either way. Moving on from there, we have Aethermon Collect from Aethermon Studios. 13,000 Australian dollars raised, 246 backers, 16 days left to go. Aethermon Studios is the start to the Aethermon universe from Aethermon Studios. They're going to have a bunch of Aethermon things coming or planned around this. This is their intro game you can go ahead and get your hands on, Aethermon Collect. It comes with cooperative and competitive modes, and it's a very light set collection game with a surprising amount of depth to it. Like, I've enjoyed this game solo, I've enjoyed it competitively, I've enjoyed it cooperatively. There's a full review on my channel. You can check that out. I think it's charming. I do not think it's a must-get game by any means. I don't think it's a thing, like, if you've played any form of set collection or card gathering, this game just is a good addition to that universe that has, again, strong solo, co-op, and competitive play. So definitely enjoyed this. They've also said, like, I know they have things coming as far as game modes or further ways to enhance the gameplay and add to it. Overall, I was very charmed by this game, and I definitely enjoy it. And I think if you are interested in this game, there's a decent chance you won't be let down by it. But none of that means that it's essential by any means. There's only so much design space you have with a lighter game like this. I just think with what they did do, they did well, and I enjoyed my experience and time with it. Past that, I know they had some initial day one speed bumps as far as notifications weren't being sent out, and then somebody else was backing at like $70,000, something like that, to just ridiculously throw things off. So this is a game that if you did see this one in any way and jumped away from it for any reason, I recommend giving it a second chance. Just look it over, see if it's a game for you. Either it is or isn't. Up to you entirely. Just if you saw any red flags day one, understand those are other things or issues that the creator has nothing to do with, and it's worth taking a look at it and seeing if it's for you. We have Aethermon Deluxe pledge over here for $60 for everything from the standard pledge, the square neoprene mat, the player tracker. We have over here for $30 for, you know, the Aethermon Deluxe standard edition, and then we have the elite pledge over here for $550 for that, and the ultimate pledge for $1,500 for the advanced prototype of their upcoming JRPG inspired roguelike game Aethermon Ascent, including balance patch and final update, basically the next game and then some. Very intrigued by this one. I am intrigued by their upcoming roguelike. I thought that what they did with the game was a good start to the universe, although I'm curious to see what the additional things that they're going to have coming out. And then they have pins. You can get their pins as well if you want any of those as well in the game. That's going to be Aethermon Collect, so you get a bunch of pledge options over here. See if it's a game for you. Again, I enjoyed it, I recommend it, but you can check out my review for full coverage on that one. Which means from there we're going to have the Fighting Fantasy Adventures, The Warlock of Fight Hut Mountain, and Other Stories. $79,000 raised from Wallace Designs. This one was launched over on Kickstarter. They had some issues hitting their funding goals. They reapproached things. They brought over to Gamefound. It's not a purely a Gamefound thing. They also changed their pledge levels. They lowered the entry point. So a bunch of changes were made, but they definitely have funded a whole lot faster. $80,000 with 2,000 backers so far. So 16 days left to go. Doing tremendous well. A $30,000 goal. 200% funded on this one. This is basically a choose your own adventure, slightly story-based, slightly scenario dungeon crawl-ish kind of game. It has 5 different adventures based on 4 different stories, and you're going to be making choices and having little scenarios where you face off against various things. In this little board over here, you can have your ability cards, your heroes, your little boards that you face off different things. So it's a almost, I can't tell if it's more campaign or more dungeon crawl, but a little bit of adventure, story, and dungeon crawl all together from Wallace Designs. Pledge levels are going to have $35 for 1 copy of the base game. Then we have the VAT-friendly, no, we can ignore that. We have Zaga's Loot, the bundle containing the core pledge and the selected add-ons as well, which selected add-ons are going to be the Collector's Edition Dice Mine and Bag, the Metal Party Marker, the Collector's Edition Journal, and the character sheet all included over there. And then we have the Miner's Hand 4 times bundle, which is basically just 4 times the bundle, and that's going to be what we have for Fighting Fantasy Adventures. So that's what we have for Fighting Fantasy Adventures. Which means, moving on from there, we have over on Kickstarter, we have Ascendancy, the ultimate 4X fantasy meets worker placement board game experience with 1,500 backers, $229,000 raised, and this is going to be a 4X game that is playable cooperative, solo, competitive, all those different modes as you go through a ton of scenario stuff. I'm not going to be going heavily into this because there's so much stuff going on. There's worker placement, there's worker placement, there's story, there's a 4X, there's going to be cooperative, competitive. I had a chance to briefly play this one on TTS back when the creators looking to see if I wanted to cover it. I had a chance to play it. I was intrigued by it, but I didn't know if I had the time to properly give it the full attention needed for a review. That's the practical obstacle in the way. Games like this, the Sony modes going on, I just wasn't sure. The game was intriguing. It has beautiful art, beautiful production, a very ambitious creator, 5 years in the making, a lot going on in this game. My only issue was I just felt there was so much going on in the game that if I'm going to review it, I want to properly give it attention, and I didn't know if I had the time, especially with like the season and Gen Con and all these things going on in general. But overall, the core game, $97 for the core game, the $157 if you want the miniatures bundle as well, and then the full deluxe components bundle, that is the same thing. Nope, core game plus deluxe components, $157, and then the all-in for $197 if you want all that stuff available. That's going to be Ascendancy over here. There's a lot of things going on. There's very clever systems as far as how much you can upgrade, how much is going on. The game reminded me a bit of Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea as far as the pure depth of the experience. Again, I didn't make no mistake, I was impressed by what I saw, but also I didn't see nearly everything going on. So I'm intrigued by this. I think it's very cool. I just didn't have time to properly give it the full attention I wanted. There's going to be game trays as well, so lots of fun things there. And again, just beautiful art, production, everything across the board. This game has a lot of love built into it and behind it. As far as the actual game, how it holds up over time, I don't have enough experience or hands-on with the game to tell you on that one. As far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value? These ones are hard to see. Hard to say. It used to be games like this would generally hold their value, but more and more games in this price point, the price points have been getting higher, the shipping's always a factor as well. These types of games have had a harder time holding their value. There's a degree of Kickstarter fatigue or crowdfunding fatigue in the marketplace, and there's also increased prices as people take into account shipping, the new production costs, all of that, and it has resulted in games like this just being less of a certainty as far as holding their value. So it could go either way on this one. It's just hard to say for sure. I would say I lean lean towards the skeptical side. I think this is a good game. I think it's a good price point, but I think these types of games over time have had less of a certainty of holding their value if it's a game that's not for you. Moving on, we have Small City Deluxe Edition, Spring and Summer expansions, 400 backers, $42,000 raised, 7 days to go. 17 days to go. This is coming to you from Looty Booster from AV Studios. This is bringing you the 25 modules, 2 expansions, and like 25 expansion modules to the small city set. We had the last one like a year ago. These were on Kickstarter, or a year and a half ago, whatever it was. And then they're bringing out the 2 new expansions, which give you a ton of modular play to this SimCity style simulator, builder. So there's a ton of modules to go into. I'm not heavily going to go into all of them. We have specialized citizens, we have new concepts, we have new terrains, new maps, new cities. We have a whole bunch of things being added to the gameplay if you are someone who is a fan of the small city set. And the small city is around for a while. Then they re-brought it back with the deluxeified versions, and now we have all the modules and expansions being added as well. Price points are going to run you $44 for the new stuff over here, $84 for receiving both expansions as opposed to just one of them, and the Mayor $174 for everything. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? I'm skeptical it will. The small city, the first 2 sets, which ran you $100, if you bought it the last time round, they're going from anywhere from $50 to $85 on eBay for people who are buying those. So it doesn't seem like they are holding their value if you are someone who backed these and it wasn't a game for you. And I assume that's going to hold only more so true with the expansions. In general, expansions are always a bit harder because tracking down the expansions on their own, it means you have to have someone who's getting rid of the expansions and not the base games. So sometimes you're kind of locked in for the full pledge. So I'd say that while they likely will not hold their value, if you are interested in them, it might be, if you have the first sets and you're interested in the expansions, that might be harder to get your hands on down the road. It's the nature of selling expansions. So if you're interested in all of it collectively, I'd say eBay is your best bet. If you're looking for specifically the expansions, it's a bit of a harder judgment call. I still think you're probably better off waiting on eBay or a secondhand market on those if you're interested in this. But yeah, if you know you like the game and you want to jump in on it, you want to support the creator, by all means go ahead and jump in on Small City Deluxe expansions. Then we have Kreel, Manor, Citadel of Horrors, a dungeon crawl experience. 825 backers, 17 days to go, $89,000 raised. Kreel Manor, Citadel of Horrors. This is coming to you from Tristan Hall, from the creator of the Killforth universe, which has a ton of games, a ton of expansions, and overall a very well-received game. And Kreel Manor is going to be giving you a 1-2-3 player dungeon crawling experience with more of a card-based dungeon crawling experience, although with the expansion is going to add a 4th character as well, or 4th player as well. So you can be diving into that. You can play it true solo by controlling a single character. You can play it whatever solo by playing multi-handed, controlling a number of characters as you go through this. In general, the Killforth universe is very solo friendly. And there's going to be a few pledges over here. We're going to have £54, for 1 copy of Kreel Horror. We're going to have £105 for the Lore of the Manor, which is going to give you the dungeon crawl, the Path of the Dead expansion, as well as the playmat. And if you also want the art book, it's going to run you £135, an additional £30 for the art book, which otherwise is like £45 MSRP or all of that. But as far as should you back it, should you not? First of all, as far as Kickstarter exclusive content, it seems like the only thing that's Kickstarter exclusive is going to be the playmat, which means if you're not interested in the playmat pledge or the playmat level, then at that point you're not really getting much exclusive here, and waiting for retail might be your best bet. Their games in general, Tristan Hall's games, while they said in the FAQ they don't officially have any retail plans. They're not saying there's no retail plans. They're just saying they don't have those agreements locked in. I would say their games generally have a decent retail presence. They actually go through a bunch of things in the FAQ. They go through you can't get any of their previous games because they're almost all sold out, and you might want to get your hands on those now by popping over to the website. So they have a bunch of things they address in the FAQ. But yeah, retail presence they generally do have. It's not a guarantee. It depends on your region, but I recommend, whatever region you're in, pop into your local online game store and see if any of his previous games, like check out 1815 Scum of the Earth, is that available wherever you are buying games? And if it is, at that point, the price point of this one probably doesn't make as much sense to get on crowdfunding. The shipping as well. There's no shipping cost listed in this campaign. He covers that in the FAQ. In general, they don't quote shipping, because things change and who knows. They just give you the actual shipping cost whenever that happens. But that also means you're walking a little blind on shipping costs. So if you want that playmat, this might be your best chance. If you have never been let down by them, this might be your best chance. But if you're just looking for the best price point and you're not so worried about the playmat, then waiting for retail options might be the best way to get your hands on this game. I do recommend keeping your eye out for it one way or another. Tristan Hall in general, they make amazing games that are well liked by a lot of people. They had, what was the one starts with a V? Darn it. They have it, maybe it's in the FAQ. They have another one. They have the Killforth universe. They have 1815. Veilwraith, that's what it was. They have Veilwraith. Can I add Veilwraith as pledge manager? Nope. Also on track to sell out. So yeah, lots of good games, lots of quality production behind it. The only question is getting it on retail or getting it on Kickstarter. Then we have Mistwind. Mistwind, 2,157 backers, $177,000 raised, 18 days to go. Mistwind from First Fish Games, doing tremendously well in this pick up and deliver game designed by Daryl Andrews and Adrian Adamescu. And this is a pick up and deliver game across 4 rounds or 5 rounds, depending on the player count you're playing as you try to set up your networks, your outposts, your transports, all those things in this game. And it's all about the network you set up. I generally don't love pick up and deliver, and I've seen that comment from a few people who I know like this game, but I like this game. And a big part of this is because it feels like it's not so much about pick up and deliver as it is about the tableau building game of how you build your networks and transports to try to efficiently deliver things, pick things up, try to make connections, get a variety of goals in a worker placement game that's very, very clever as far as how it's implemented, and just overall plays in like an hour. It's like, I mean, it says 75 minutes in the box. I've played it consistently in an hour on a regular basis. So it plays in an hour, very accessible, very strategic, and just a solid, good time that I very much enjoyed is what, Mistwind is. The flip side, as far as the pledge levels go, pledge levels is going to run you around $95 US to get a base pledge over here, and that's going to be an additional $20 shipping on top of that. So you are looking at $115 to get your hands on a base pledge of this one. We have around $82 for the early bird discount if you get your hands on that. And if you want the plushie, oh my gosh, the plushie is adorable, I'll say that. But the plushie over here, that's the $90 for that, for the plushie thingy, the plushie pledge. And we become a captain, $224 to get your name on that. But that's a bunch of options over there. Basically, the core game, if you miss the early bird pledge, your core game is going to run you $115. US dollars if you're a US backer, which is not a small amount of money for a game that's effectively a pick up and deliver game. I both strongly like this game while also being skeptical that that degree of a $115 game usually falls into a certain category, and I'm not convinced that this will feel like a $115 game. It might feel like a $75 game. I feel like an $85 game. $115 is a lot of money. I think this game will be well produced. They have inserts, they have miniatures, they have all those fun things, but it's just an expensive price point. See that in previous notes I mentioned around, Ascendancy, where in general we are just seeing things get more expensive as creators, as people who are making the games have to ensure that they don't accidentally, lose money when they make a game, which is a relevant factor. And so I am very mindful, or I'm very understanding of the creator's needs, but I'm also very understanding of backers having their own needs as far as what makes sense or doesn't make sense. I am very happy that for the creator, this campaign is doing as well as it is with $177,000 raised, which is great. Very happy for them. I do think that this one, I'm more skeptical this will hold its value. I do think it's a good game. I think it's a very good game. But even as someone who is a large fan of the game, I don't think it feels like a $115 game. Granted, I had a prototype, and obviously a final game is a final game. But I am skeptical that if this is a game that's not for you, that you'll be getting $115 back for it if you're trying to turn it around later. You're like, oh, you know what? It was a good game. I don't know if I need to own it. I'm just skeptical you'll get $115 back for it. So as far as holding its value, just skeptical, unfortunately. Moving on, we have Bear Mountain Camping Adventure, Race to the Top, a first-time creator with 5,700 backers, $528,000 raised. This is reminding me of like that botanical garden game that came out like 2 months ago. I don't know what these creators are doing to like go from nothing to like these nature-themed games that pull people in, but sadly, I am very intrigued by this one. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very intrigued by this game. I have no clue if it'll be good. I'm expecting to be let down, but I am intrigued by the game despite myself. They have 2 decks. You're deck building 2 different decks. You're going on a hiking adventure as you upgrade your camper, as you wander around different locations. You have to be basically going to different locations on the board, setting up camp in different areas as you wander around the map, and then ultimately being the first player to go ahead and set up camp on Bear Mountain as you go through it. Meanwhile, you have 2 different decks, and you have to deck build both of those decks to go figure out what your needs are and what your strategic path to victory is. And then there's like 3 different expansions to add more modules and things and cards and all these stuff to your games, plus beautiful production value as far as all the various tokens. Plus you can pay $35 to or $30 to upgrade all the wooden tokens in the game, not just the camping tokens, but all the tokens. This feels like a very premium, very cool game that I am expecting to be let down. I'm expecting the target audience for this is lighter than what I'm interested in, although they are very much pitching almost a Parks style approach where it's like, hey, this game is both accessible to people who are diving into board games for the first time, but there's also enough strategic depth to those who are seasoned gamers. They are very much pitching that as part of the pitch. And there's like a few small red flags for me as far as whether this, like, it's interesting. It's like a random tangent. As a backer, as someone who's interested in this game, there are red flags that have me a little bit unsure of this game, while also I'm still very intrigued despite myself. They don't have a lot of content creation out there, which in general is not the end of the world, but it is one of those things where I am surprised by that. Like, meaning when they say it's for the seasoned gamer, have they even backed previous campaigns? That's another question. I haven't even looked at one. Have they backed previous campaigns? They have backed 11 campaigns. Let's take a look at what they've backed over here. Because they're a first-time creator, which is a small concern. The fact that we have Pacific Ocean card games, so they back that. Back Ship is in the North Sea. Dog Park. So they, yeah, Dog Park was one of those. So they are backing, but Botany over here. But it looks like a lot of recent backing. That's very interesting. Like their starting campaign is Fractured Sky, which almost feels, because it's one of those things that's tricky, because like it's good that they're doing that, but I would say that in general, advice that I would give to a creator before they dive into the board game space is to make sure you have campaigns that you backed, because I want to see someone who has gone through the campaign as a backer and seen that experience. And it feels like they're doing that, but it almost feels like the recency of it feels like they're doing it in preparation for having that under their belt as opposed to anything else. Although, keep in mind as well, it could also be people who back their own games, then created their company profile, and then started backing. But then meanwhile, like I said already, you know, first-time creator, a game that's doing incredibly well, has a large degree of general appeal, beautiful production, which is a good thing, but then also, again, lack of content creation is like a question mark. Okay, great, you know, what happened there? Are there even prototypes? To what extent are there? All these things are like small little flags, but ultimately I think I am still backing it. So take that into account. I'm going through like the pros and cons over here. I am very intrigued despite myself. Time will tell. I back less and less things nowadays than I used to. But this looks charming. It looks very charming. I love the idea of just like having various RVs that you're upgrading from a light camper to a large RV. That seems fun as you wander around, starting fires, going to campsites. It looks very charming despite myself. I'm not really a nature buff to a large degree, but it looks very charming despite myself. Anyways, as far as pledge levels, I'm sorry for spending so much time on this one. There's a full playthrough if you want to see that. So there is content around the game. There's not a ton. I believe there's like this one playthrough and this one review on the game. Check those out. And then a few testimonials as well to go through. Pledge tiers, $39 for the base game over here. I will say as well, they also have great discounts from the MSRP, which is one thing I usually am critical of lots of crowdfunding campaigns for not actually having large enough discounts that once you factor in shipping, you may as well get it at retail, it's still cheaper. In this case, assuming those MSRPs hold up, that's not true. The discounts they're giving you, even once you factor in shipping, still make these compelling deals, which is part of the reason I am kind of on the, you know, interested in backing a kind of conversation. Anyways, $39 for the Bear Mountain Camping Adventure, $69 for the Deluxe Edition Plus expansion over here from an MSRP of $115. So again, that's a good discount over there. We have $99 for the All-In Deluxe Edition from MSRP of $180. We have a $78 MSRP of the Retail Edition. We have a, you know, that's at that point. Then we have the various what the expansions all are over here. We have some additional extras for various modules, so not modules, expansions, and then tokens. So here's the $30 upgraded tokens over here. Another thing that's both a red flag but also good marketing is they have VIP editions and Kickstarter specials. So you'll see over here we have a VIP special for $39 and the Kickstarter special for $55. What are those? They're the same thing. There's just limited pledges of the 25 over here, but the same exact pledge at each pledge level they have those. So if you go all the way up to like the all-in over here, the all-in is $99 with 26 left out of 4,000 of these. 26 left on that all-in. Okay, it's only 26, so now is your opportunity. As someone looking at this video right now, stop, pause, immediately go ahead and back. By the way, obviously it's the next day, so maybe there's not 26 left. But then meanwhile, if you don't do that, then you might be one of the 178 people who are currently backing the 145. By the way, if you're one of the 178 people currently backing the $145 pledge, if you're watching this video, please let me know if you are either you missed out on the earlier one, you didn't realize you can still get your hands on it if somebody drops out at any point, or did you just think that this was the all-in? Like, are you paying the extra $45 because you think this is the all-in and the other one isn't the all-in? Because I'm curious about that, because to the best of my knowledge, from the FAQ, these are the same. And I know because I had to like look and check and was confused by it 7 times over. So yeah, if you are currently one of those 178 people, immediately go ahead and drop your pledge to the $99. But again, that's both good marketing because it creates that sense of urgency, while also another semi-red flag. I'm all over the place with this campaign. This should have been a full should you back it on this video. I am all over the place with this campaign. I hope it's good. I am a backer. I'm a drop uncertain as far as all those things. And then the stretch goals, various extras. There are some Kickstarter exclusive content and expansions. So one of the expansions over here is Kickstarter exclusive, I believe. So over here we have the Legend of the Fall. So we do have that. Lots of incentives over here. I'm all over the place. I'm backing it. Either way, should you back it, should you not? Will it hold its value? Assuming everything checks out, I think it actually will hold its value. I think that right now, that sense of urgency around the price point, the good discounts on the MSRP, I think this was well done as a very good starter first game. I have a minor concerns, uncertainties around them, but despite myself, I think this one likely will hold its value, assuming it lands and delivers. If it's like Dog Park, if it's like Botany, if it does manage to hit that audience, then this is one that I think will hold its value overall. And from there, moving on to Shadowrun TakeDown. 724 backers, $80,000 raised, 19 days to go. Shadowrun TakeDown from Callous Games, the newest game in the Shadowrun universe. Shadowrun has had a bunch of games before. They've had Crossfire, they've had Sprawl Ops, or whatever it is. Was it called Sprawl Ops? I think it was called Sprawl Ops. They've had other ones as well. But Shadowrun TakeDown is going to be a cooperative experience as you go on a variety of missions across the campaign while leveling up your operatives, while having a master. Who's the person? This is the person behind the scenes, the mastermind. You're gonna have the mastermind behind the scenes who's helping convey information to the various agents as they wander around, or occasionally diving in themselves, each character having their own secret abilities that they have behind the screen. As far as what you're doing every adventure, kind of depends on the adventure as you go through it, but that's what it kind of is. It's not, I don't have a ton on this game because it is very based on what the specific situation or scenario you're going through is. They have a bunch of pledge levels, as stretch goals, all those things overall. The pledge levels for the game are $70 for the game and $140 for the game, plus the exclusive Kevlar game case in case you want that. With 255 people, do you want that exclusive Kevlar game case for the game? And there's a few others, retailer pledges over here, and like I think Street Legends, drop that line, $1,000, no backers on this one if you want to join the developers and connect on the game. Should you back it, should you not, will hold its value. A little bit more skeptical on this one. The price point for what you get over here, $70 for the components you're getting, doesn't seem huge, but also this is a tricky one because I don't think this is the best Kickstarter campaign purely from a presentation standpoint. Meaning, as far as the clarity of the information given, as far as the clarity of the quality of the components you're getting, this is not one that overall inspires a ton of confidence. So it's hard to say for sure whether this is just not the best crowdfunding campaign, or whether this is just not a game that feels like a $70 game once you factor in shipping and all of that. So I am skeptical this one will hold its value, but it's hard to say for sure because of the nature of the campaign. From there we have Innovation. The last campaign today, we have Innovation Ultimate from Masquerade Games. $170,000 raised, 2,550 backers, 33 days left to go. Coming from Masquerade Games, Innovation Ultimate is the newest Innovation game. We had Deluxe Innovation until now, which I have. I have a full 12x12 review you can check out on my channel. 12x12 review is a format where I play a game at least 12 times. Why is it called 12x12? Because usually I try to do at least 12 of them a year. This is the first year I'm doing them, but in theory I try to do at least 12 of them a year. Games that I really do a full deep dive, and in the case of this, by the way, it's a game that I played well more than 12 times. I played this game, like, I don't know, 40, 50 times across the course of having Innovation. It's been around for a long time, but for me, the 12x12 experience is like playing it at all different ways, all different player counts with all different expansions and modules and all those things, which I have done for Innovation. But either way, Innovation Ultimate over here is the newest version of Innovation. It has a new expansion. It has some cleaned up abilities and cards. It has a new splay, the Aslant splay, which if you know Innovation, there's like splaying cards up, down, left, right, and now we have an Aslant, which is a diagonal splay, which is very cool. I'm very excited for. We also introduced a lot more, there's no we here. They introduced a bunch more cards as well that involve junking cards and decks so you can more eagerly get to the 11 because they have a new age 11 cards. But if you've played Innovation, you know that half the time you don't even see the age 10 cards in this game because you finish before you get to age 10. So age 11 is like, congratulations, why do you have that? Well, that does work if you add more cards that trash other cards. There's the previous 4 expansions, there's the newest expansion, and then there's just tweaking and adjustments, and of course a new box and all of that, all for the fairly reasonable price of $69 for the game, I believe. Let's see the pledge levels over here. I think there's a singular pledge level for $69 for the game. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? The short version is the price point of this is good. The problem is the MSRP and the price point, and then there's availability. Because the price point here is good. The price point at retail might be slightly better, it might be in the same range. The Deluxe Innovation was not that expensive. The biggest issue is not so much the price point in of itself, but rather the availability. Deluxe Innovation generally goes for like $150 in the secondhand market because it's not available. So for me, I think that the price point here is good. I think there's a possibility that it could be slightly cheaper at retail, but I think if you are interested in the game, you should go ahead and get your hands on it now because this is a game that it's been around for a long time and there is demand for it, and as soon as it goes out of print, I think that it'll be going for twice what people paid for it, either in between print runs or if it just straight up goes out of print. So overall, it's a kind of semi-recommendation on go ahead and get your hands on it. That's basically it. That's what we have over here, which means it's time to take a look at the picks of the week. Picks of the week are all over the place over here because I have a bunch of things. In general, every week I do, well, when I do these 2 back and not to backs, I do 2 picks of the week. A personal interest pick of the week, the game that I am most interested in, and then I also do a game that is the best value pick of the week, the one that is most likely to sell for the I shouldn't say that sell. The value pick of the week is the game where getting it on crowdfunding is the best choice if you're interested in the game. It is not a game that it has this much gameplay for this amount of money. It's that if you're getting the game, you should go ahead and get it on crowdfunding now. And to that end, I am reluctantly going to give the value pick of the week to Bear Mountain, but with caveats. I'm not certain about this. I am both interested in this game, but also I do think that the price points, the MSRPs, the things they're doing things either really well or I don't know. I'm giving this my value pick of the week, although again I have slight hesitancies around this one, but overall I think I'm confident enough. I am looking at backing it either way, so we'll see how that one goes. And then for my personal interest pick of the week, there are a bunch. There's this Aethermon Collect is one of them. Call of Duty is one of them. We have where was it? Mistwind's one of them. But ultimately, I think I'm going to give it to Innovation. Innovation is a game I play a lot and thoroughly really enjoy, and so Innovation has to be my personal interest pick of the week. I have the Deluxe Edition, and I'm going ahead and backing this one to get my hands on it because it's a good game and I like it a lot, and I do want the newest stuff for it because a game I played 50 times is worth having the newest stuff for it. As far as things coming up next week, we have a few things. We have Midhala, and as usual, I just picked like 2 projects to go over here. But we have Midhala, a 100% skill-based cooperative dungeon crawl board game, a little bit of tower defense, a little bit of dungeon crawl, and a little bit of campaign is Midhala, launching later this week. And then we also have Spectral and Trailblazers expansion. I have not played Spectral from Ryan Courtney from Bitewing Games, although I did just see that Bitewing Games just got like, 9s and 8s on their Q Vadis over in the Dice Tower 4 Squares review, no longer called 4 Squares. And then we also have an expansion for Trailblazers, a game that I really enjoyed, also gave that a 12x12 review. Trailblazers Sasquatch, the expansion pack for their game, launching later this week as well. And that is everything we have. Until next time, I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I have missed you all. It has been way too long. Hopefully I'll be back next week. I don't actually know. I have no clue. If we have campaigns to go through next week, I'll be back next week with another 2 Back or Not to Back. And if not, I will see you when I see you. I'm supposed to say, and I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And I hope you have a good one. My therapist told me to write letters to the people I hate and then burn them. I've done that, but now I don't know what to do with the letters.